Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Chris Russell from Job Board Secrets, and look forward to talking with y'all today. Looks like we have about 12 people in the event. 13 are registered. I wanted to start out by just doing like a quick roll call. So on the chat on the right-hand side of your screen, if you could type in your website that you have running, put in your website domain name there so I can take a look and see who I'm talking to as well. Environmental career, okay. Hey, John. Corey, inspectorsearch.com. Lauren Proctor, sabbatical. Hey, Lauren. James Moon, PT Jobs. Hey, James. Leticia, 123 Job Zone. Cool. Who else we got? Techaboard.com AU. Australia, welcome aboard. Dave, Employee Benefits Jobs. Awesome. Hey, Kelly, 4penjobs.com. Long time no talk. I think we spoke to you years ago when you were first starting out. So good to see you. Brian, geophysicistjobs.com. Okay. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 9 of you. All right. Anybody else, feel free to chime in with your website. If you don't have one, just say no site or something, and we'll get started in there. You can start putting your questions in the ask a question link at the bottom, and we'll kind of use that to. I'll use that to go through the questions as we go along here. My goal is to spend at least a good hour and 15 minutes with you today, just taking your questions and doing some screen shares and kind of going over stuff. I do want to show you something first that many of you may be interested in. Yeah, there'll be a recording later, John, so you can check it out. So, can you all hear me, by the way? Everybody, audio sounds good? Awesome. Okay. So I'm working with this company called Job Addicts, and it's jobaddicts.com. I'm going to share you the screen in a second here. And what they have is basically it's like AdSense for jobs. So let me just get to it. Oops. So here is the site, and what it does is it lets you embed kind of in placement native job ads on your search results pages. So if you're running your own custom job board that you have access to the code, you can use this to essentially earn more money, and it pays better than AdSense. Okay. It's called Job Addicts, and I would encourage you to just go sign up for a demo and check it out. It's out of Toronto. So here's what they look like. So they're kind of in-feed ads that sit inside of your search results. And this is one of them here. They're kind of like sponsored jobs that are part of a marketplace, a job ad marketplace. And if you embed these in your site instead of, say, an AdSense block, you'll actually make more money. They offer better payouts than what AdSense is doing. Their CTR rates are like 1.2, 1.4%, I think, which is a lot better than a typical AdSense page. So check out jobaddicts.com when you get a chance later on, and tell them I sent you. It may be a good way for you to make money. They pay on CPC or CPA, cost per acquisition. The CPCs are running between 20 and 25 cents per click, which is pretty good compared to some of the other backfill out there. So you may want to check out jobaddicts.com when you get a chance. All right, let me stop sharing. So let's take a look at what kind of questions you might have so far. So when it comes to sharing when you're coming on live, if you want to come on live, I can invite up to 3 people at a time. So there can be 4 of us kind of in a window. So does anybody want to go first or volunteer to come first, or who wants to start things off with their first question? All right. So Dimitri and John. All right. We'll start with you, Dimitri. Job wrapping instead of backfill. Um, I've done both on websites before. The obvious advantage of backfill is that you get paid for it, whereas job wrapping you don't necessarily. In order to stock your site with jobs, you can basically go find a feed and put that feed into your site and collect jobs automatically. Sites like or platforms like Smart Job Board and Jobboard.io have the auto import function, which will allow you to do that. So when I've started a site before, I've gone out and found a feed on like a my.jobs, which has kind of publicly available job feeds you can grab, and I started indexing those jobs to backfill my site. On top of that, I also had the backfill from a ZipRecruiter or JobStick Careers, for example. So you can do both. It depends on if you want to make money on them or not. Um, so does that answer your question, Dimitri? Cool. John asks, what's the biggest threat to job boards today? AI. I don't think so yet. I think AI is a little bit ways out here, guys. I think most recruiters have no idea what it means yet. So if there is a threat, it's not until 5 years from now, maybe. Um, but you're seeing AI come around with, particularly on the applicant tracking side of things, where companies are putting it in place to do chat bots. And I just saw a story today. Home Depot is basically building in a self-scheduling tool into their retail applicant process. So once you apply for a job at Home Depot, it actually lets you self choose an interview, an in-person interview through some kind of tool online, some kind of a machine learning or AI tool. Um, so you're seeing it take place in those types of things. Pre-screening, I think pre-screening is going to be a big part of AI in the future. So if you, so I think that's an opportunity for job boards to include that overall in their their apply process. So as we go forward, I think pre-screening tools, the ability to do FAQs with the candidate are things that job boards can also incorporate into their sites if they choose to do that custom development stuff. Um, I think there's a lot of competitors to job boards today. There's so much HR technology, recruiting technology that's coming around that you're competing with a lot of new stuff that you weren't 10 years ago, right? You've got sourcing, which is big now. Ability to go out and find anybody online is pretty easy for companies who invest that time and resource into sourcing people proactively. You've got all kinds of new other recruiting technology out there, from stuff like Smashfly, the recruitment marketing stuff. Just the ATSs are getting better at doing their jobs overall. You've got job distribution out there. So there's a whole range of competitors now than there wasn't 10 years ago. So to me, it's more about in terms of surviving. It's building a community, keeping up your traffic, and delivering applicants. At the end of the day, that's your number one goal is sending applicants to the people who post jobs with you. So if you're not tracking applies and worried about that stuff, you should be. If you concentrate on that and you concentrate on building your audience and generating applies for your clients, you'll do fine. That's my kind of general take on things. Let's see here. Is it worth using that tech in our job board? I think so. If you can, particularly around the chat bot kind of stuff, kind of simple, what I call simple AI, it's worth having maybe. There's a job board. It's not a job board. It's called Kanunu, which is like an employer review site. They just launched a tool that allows two-way communication between the job seeker and the employer. Some kind of I think it's Q&A function, right? It's a Q&A function. So a job seeker can ask a question on the site, and the recruiter will apply. and it's all kind of logged in a page for that employer, so that other job seekers can come back and go look into what other questions were asked of that employer. So that's something any job board could do, in my opinion. So branching out into those little types of features, I think, is important for job boards going forward. If you're not adding new stuff, kind of like that Q&A feature, I think is interesting. So it's kind of my take there. Cool. Niche job board, how to start, go local, and then grow step by step. So yeah, if you're running a niche job board, Dimitri, how to start. So I'd start by, starting local is good. It's a good way to kind of get your feet wet. It helps you kind of concentrate your efforts in one location, if you will. So I have seen job boards start out as, even though they have a kind of a national name, they will start out in a target location. A good example would be like Work Here, which is it's a mobile app actually, but they're based in Indianapolis, and that's where they've been basically working for the past couple of years. They're concentrated on that local market in Indy to start their, growing their business, learn more about the business itself, and eventually they're going to branch out into different locations overall. So I do think that starting locally is a good way to go about it. It allows you to kind of build a community. You can get out there and do some networking in person, which I think is important too for job boards. If you are, online marketing is definitely key, but I think so is offline stuff too. Let people put a face with the website and let them see you in action as well. I think in a lot of companies, a lot of employers, you can meet them out. You can meet them out in networking events. I go to meetups all the time in New York City and stuff, HR related or HR tech related, to make sure that people know me in person. I think that employers also do business with people they know and trust, and if you get out there and actually talk to employers, it's a good thing for you. So Lauren asks, in this cases like this, do you have any particular tried and true strategies for driving local backlinks to your job board? Yeah, so backlinks, let's talk about SEO for a bit, because I think SEO it's a little bit less important these days. And the main reason is because of Google Jobs. If you can get your site listed on Google Jobs, that's the number one SEO tactic I recommend today, right? And I was talking to Lucas at Nouveau, which is a job aggregator based in Montreal. They're global. They have millions of jobs across the world. And at one point, they had a whole SEO team of backlink people. They were paying people to go out there and find backlinks for them in order to build up their SEO. Now, this was before Google Jobs came out. After Google Jobs came out, he stopped that practice because he realized he couldn't compete on an SEO level with the Indeeds of the world. And now that Google is in the fray, you've got them taking up the initial search results for stuff. Not to say that backlinks are not important still. I think they still are, because you can still appear below the job results themselves for various keywords around your niche. But I think you should spend less time on backlinks these days and concentrate more getting on Google Jobs overall. Once you get on Google Jobs, then you can worry about going back and getting backlinks and stuff. The best way to get them is basically to ask for them. So some of the tricks I've used in the past, go to universities, right? Their career centers, email their career center people and ask them for a link. Many times they will. So any of those edu links, edu sites are great. Library websites from your local town usually are pretty responsive with these types of things. Bloggers in the space, I've even paid for them before. You have to be kind of put that on the down low. But I've approached bloggers before about, hey, would you either do a guest post or would you sell me a backlink, things like that. And gotten them that way. So But the smart, the smart way of going about it is just, going out there doing kind of a campaign, making it easy for the other person to link back to you, by putting in the actual body of the email, your link, actually, what do you want them to say, maybe even the HTML code you could actually add to that and send that to them as well. And also link back to them if they have a site that is relevant to you. If you do that first and then send the email saying, hey, I linked to you, would you mind, reciprocating and linking back? That's an even better way to go about it as well. So those are some kind of tips and tricks there around that, Lauren. All right, here. How are job boards tracking applicants other than having an apply here button that takes the candidate application form to run the job board? Okay, so there's basically two ways, people companies they can apply today in job boards, either on your site or get redirected. If they get redirected, there's no way to track them after that point, unless you give them some kind of tracking pixel, which most job boards don't do. The big guys do, like Indeed and such. They have a tracking pixel they install on the ATS, and so that helps the ATS track the actual hires and stuff like that coming through it. But for the most part, off the shelf job board is just tracking the clicks that you send to the ATS, in addition to the actual applies that get generated from your site. So you'd have to build your own custom tracking pixel if you're doing this on your own, in order to give the employer, so that you can track it on your end. Then you got to build a whole reporting system on your end to track all those hits on that tracking pixel. So a little bit of a project, but I know some companies are questioning the traffic you send to them, but it's not easy to work with them in that respect. It's a little bit of a challenge. I was working with jobs in Maine up there last year, and they didn't have a tracking pixel. Most of their jobs were sending off to the ATS, and some of the bigger clients were requesting a way to track that, but we didn't have a tracking pixel, and they didn't want to build one. So it is kind of an issue out there. Generally speaking, the average apply rate, and once you do that, the apply rate drops too. The average apply rate on a job board today, according to Appcast, is about 6.7%, meaning for every 100 job seekers that come to your job, 6 or 7 will apply. If you send them off to another link, it's going to drop even further, probably more like 5%, 4 or 5% from there. Let's see here. Best medium to advertise my business: AdWords or LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads. So LinkedIn is very expensive. Unless you want to pay exorbitant prices, I would stick to Facebook. I'm a big believer in Facebook ads right now. They're great. They're fairly cheap, and you can do some really good targeting with them. So that's my favorite kind of outside way to advertise beyond just Google AdWords and stuff. Allocation of budgets. Let's see, SEO, SEM, SM. I mean, it's really maybe 20, 25%, something like that, Dimitri. There's no hard and fast rule. It depends on how far you want to go as far as cutting into your profit margin, really. But as much as you can, that allows you to make a good profit, is my answer there. I was also thinking about asking about Google Jobs. Yeah, beat me to it. Yeah, so let's talk about Google Jobs for a second. So I've got a site right now, jobswithremote.com, which is on JobBoard.io's platform, and it's backfilled with JobGates listings. But I'm pulling in a feed of 750 jobs that are all work-at-home jobs, and it's on Google Jobs. And I'm getting, with no marketing, I'm getting between 2,000 and 3,000 monthly visitors with it. I just started it in the last few months, and the traffic's starting to trickle in a little bit. It's definitely working out there. And if you're not on Google Jobs, you need to get there. It's a competitive advantage. It's free traffic, which Indeed used to give you and no longer does. So it's the new way to kind of get traffic for free. And so if you're not on there, you can get on it. It's pretty easy to do if you use the off-the-shelf software like JobBoard.io, Smart Job Board. It's already Google Jobs friendly. All you have to do from there is submit your index to the Google Webmaster Console, and you should start seeing some traffic in the following days after that. If you have your own custom software, look up how to do Google Jobs. There's kind of a spec that they give. It's just a matter of kind of the meta tags in your underlying code, changing it to match their specs. Once you do that, you can test it. They have a tester on there as well. It'll validate your code. And once you do that, it's all set. Then you can just submit your sitemap feed to Google Search Console, and it'll start sending you traffic. It's pretty much all it takes. Google Jobs is, it's just getting going. It was launched, 9 months ago, something like that. They are including job boards in the listings. In fact, it's majority job boards right now. I think a lot of the ATS vendors have been slow to hop on board. But if you do a search today, you're going to see ZipRecruiter a lot, Facebook, LinkedIn, Career Builder, some of the ATSs out there. So it's being dominated by the sites with the most amount of jobs. But as time goes on, as more sites get indexed by them, it'll become a little more democratized, I guess. And the good thing about it too for job boards is that if there's a duplicate job in the system on Google Jobs, they will show the job seeker where that job lives. And so you can actually choose to go to the job board and apply there if you have an account there. So in that respect, they're much different than Indeed was. And I don't think they're going to, turn you off one day. I think they're a little more friendly to job boards so far from what I've seen. I talked to them at HR Tech last year, and I don't have that sense they're going to turn on job boards like Indeed did. So, I mean, that's my initial sense anyway. Let's see. So, Don, what job board can be used by alumni associations to customize and generate revenue for alumni associations? Yeah, so Don, so alumni associations. So there's 3 companies right now that serve alumni associations. One is Boxwood Technologies. The second is Your Membership, which used to be Job Target, and the third is WebScribble. So all 3 of those companies have job board software, and they typically work with associations, a lot of professional associations or alumni associations. They typically work on a rev share, I believe, or a custom setup fee. But check with 3 of those. So Boxwood, Your Membership, and WebScribble. I think WebScribble will probably be the most expensive out of those. And the other ones will be a little bit cheaper, I think. I'm not sure what their prices are like lately. But those 3 platforms are pretty good for associations. Those are the typical clients that they typically like to get. Yeah, I think any association is a good candidate for a job board overall because it can bring in extra money, and it's all kind of off the shelf. Real Match does it too. They typically work with a lot of newspaper sites, but they work with anybody, I think. And I believe it's free. Real Match is free as long as you do a rev share with them. So it's their product's pretty good as well. Usage of parsers to attract job seekers. Not sure what you mean there, Dimitri. You have to kind of clarify that one for me. If you start a new job board today from scratch, what are the top 3 job board software platforms? All right, so the top 3 are, if you've ever done before, are Smart Job Board, Job Board IO, and maybe like a Job Mount or a Match. What's the other one I was thinking about? I think it's called Match. It's based out of Colorado. It's a WordPress-based one, and the name has escaped me at this point. I'll have to come back to that. But yeah, Job Board IO, Smart Job Board. I mean, those 2 they're doing the most as far as iteration goes, and they're both doing a great job. I recommend both. I know both well. Smart Job Board is the cheapest, $79 a month. It's a job board in a box. All you need is after that is a Stripe account, maybe a MailChimp account to get going. You put up a logo, you have a job board in a day. I've set a lot of those up for people over the past few years on both platforms. It takes me a few days to configure it all, but they're both great at doing that. So I'd start there with those platforms. Don't worry about the tech starting out in your first year. Your first year is all about building your audience, building brand awareness, building traffic up, and you can't worry about tech if you're just starting out, right? So by outsourcing that tech to those companies, you'll be much better off freeing up your time, concentrating on sales and marketing, social media, and doing things to build an audience overall. So those are the kinds of things you have to concentrate on in the first year. What aims shall we set for the niche job board first year? Good question, Dimitri. So here's kind of my general thoughts on that. So at the end of a year, your goal should be 10,000 monthly users from a visitor standpoint. I don't kind of give out a revenue number because I think it's a little bit tougher these days to make money in the first year. I think you have to spend more time and more money in the first year building the audience, right? So you can get to 3 or 4, maybe even 5K with Google Jobs if you have enough jobs in there. And the rest of that is kind of where the hustle comes in. You have to do a lot of content. You have to you have to get good at social media. You have to be a great internet marketer, right? If you're not good at internet marketing, guys, then you're not going to succeed in the first year. So that means educating yourself on how to do social media right, how to write great content, what types of content that you for whatever niche you're going after, right? Being able to amplify that content across social media and posting it multiple times across all your channels, reposting it, doing a newsletter, collecting emails aggressively, and building up your own newsletter list and doing that on a regular basis, blogging, maybe some offline events as well. All that stuff is critical in the first year, right? If you're not doing any of that, and you're just trying to rely on free traffic, it's not gonna make money. You need to build a business. I see too many people who get started, and I try and caution them on this. Is in the first year, it's all about building the audience, building brand awareness. Don't worry about the money yet, because you need to establish that foundation for a site first, before you can kind of worry about the monetization part of it. So if you do that in the first year, you concentrate on your internet marketing tasks, you can get to 10,000. It's doable, especially now with Google Jobs and even like Facebook. There's Facebook, if you know how to use it properly, you can get free traffic out of that, right? I mean, I had a post go viral for Jobs in Maine last year. It was just a meme that I found online that was funny. It was from the movie Office Space. I posted it back in April, with a link to the website, and that meme is still getting people tagging it today and shares. It's been seen like 30,000 times. So it's little stuff like that that counts. They have to do kind of on every week you have to go in there and try and get traffic, right? It takes time and effort. And so if you're doing this on the side, expect to spend at least 10 to 15 hours a week, at night, whatever it is, every week consistently in order to build up that traffic and that brand. So don't, put some effort into it. It's my main thing there. Let's see here. Do we need mobile apps for your job board? No. Mobile apps are a waste of time. They are a huge expense. I spent 30 grand on apps probably back in 2013, 2014. These are these are apps I built on my own. They weren't for a job board. They were, I built one called InstaJob. I built a sourcing tool app that kind of did Boolean for you. And I had an app called JobSpeak at one point that lets you do, it was like an audio job listing, basically. I wasted a lot of money on apps. Wish I had it back. The apps business is very cutthroat. It is very crowded, and there's no money in it. And if there is money, it's 99 cents or a few bucks to buy the app, and you need to sell a lot of apps to make money on a mobile app. I think if you have a mobile-friendly website, That's all you need right now. As long as it's mobile friendly, you can do dollar on mobile. That's all you need. Don't waste money on building an app. Um, there are a couple app builders out there, like App Maker is one, which I think it's like app, right? So if you do like DIY apps on Google, um, there's stuff out there that you can plug in like an RSS feed. So you could potentially take your job feed and maybe a blog feed, push into this app maker. It'll spit out the code, whatever, and then it lets you. I think it either uploads the app itself into the stores, or you have to do it for them. But they are fairly inexpensive to use. So if you do want to go that route, try that first. That's a lot cheaper. And a simple app like that might be an easy way to go to get started anyway. Yeah, I said Smart Job Board, John. Smartjobboard.com. They're based out of the Ukraine, I believe, or Kazakhstan somewhere. But I know the owner, Rodion. I did an interview with him, which you can find on my podcast, RecTech. And I've met him before as well. Been around for a long time, and so has Christian at JobBoard.io. Both great guys and great products overall. Contact details of job seekers and invite them to your job board via email. Yeah, you could do that. It's a little bit, I've done some scraping over the years. Job seeker emails are a little bit harder to get, and you got to be careful about spamming too. I've done some kind of like not opt-in emails to people like that before, and I've using SendGrid, and SendGrid, paused my account for a while because if you're sending too many emails to servers like Gmail and Yahoo, they're going to flag you. So I basically have given up trying to email job seekers like that. It's just not worth it anymore. I don't want to get flagged by them. If you do it kind of slowly, and if you do maybe a couple hundred a day or something like that, you might be able to get away with it. But it's a lot harder to find in these days too. I mean, you can go scrape emails off pretty much any place, but how do you know which ones are job seekers and things like that? I have a much better time scraping employer emails across the web. We can talk about that later if you want, but try and get them to opt in is my best advice there. Build up your own list of an opt-in database, and keep it keep it spam free. Don says we offer alumni associations at Career Community, provide a weekly Career webinar featuring a career author. Do you think job board companies would benefit by offering a service like this to increase stickiness? Yeah, I mean, to me, that's content. So I think if you're a job board owner today, again, it's about building community and offering career advice. I mean, I had a podcast at one point on Career Cloud when I ran that site. I used the podcast to drive traffic back to the website. I think any ways you can offer value to the job seeker, whether it's through a blog post or a video or a podcast or whatever it is, it definitely helps to create stickiness. Again, it just takes time, takes effort. But all those things are good things to do. In fact, I mean, the reason I'm doing this live group session is that I'm getting heavy into live video this year. And I'm going to be doing some a series called Recruiting Marketing Live for employers out there. We do a series of free events and also paid events for them, basically training courses that I do live like this with you for them, teaching them things about Facebook recruiting and how to recruit on Twitter and things like that. So any kind of advice you can give them is a good thing. We'd like to develop a site that like they have tough for job boards. They would like them weekly webinars. Yeah, webinars are also great for collecting emails too. So they're a good lead gen tool overall, right? So you all signed up for this. I got all your emails now, so you're on my list. All right. Let's see here. Dave Baker, are you meaning 10,000 views of jobs? Now I'm talking 10,000 uniques a month, unique visitors. All right. And the average job board today, you're going to get around 30,000 visitors with 10,000 uniques. So the average number of page views per session is about 3 or 4. So if you have 10,000 visitors, you can have about 30 to 40,000 page views per month overall. Any tips on exposure with Google Jobs? Position themselves as experts. Anybody says is an expert on it. I mean, there's not much to it. It's just a matter of technically creating your site to match Google specs and then putting your sitemap into Google Jobs. That's really all there is. There's nothing else to do from kind of a maintenance standpoint after that. A lot of ATSs are, there's a number of ATSs like Smart Recruiters who have announced early on they were, Google Jobs friendly, and they're sending their jobs into their for their clients. So they're doing a good job of adding that value. There's still a ton of ATSs out there who are not on Google Jobs. So for them, it's, I talked to one. I'm working with a state government who just brought on a new ATS, and this ATS, it's called Job Apps, and it's a pretty older system. They only work with governments, and they had no idea what Google Jobs even was when I was explaining this to them. And so there's still a lot of companies and both employers and recruiting vendors out there who are not on Google Jobs. So I think you could use it in your marketing too. You're on Google Jobs. It's a differentiator for you as well. So promote that fact if you are on it. Put the logo up on your job posting page, saying, hey, it's also going to get cross-posted to Google Jobs, right? So use that to your advantage. When I was doing job distribution on my job boards, I would always put the logos of all the other, jobs, careers, ZipRecruiter, whatever, to promote that fact that you're getting more than just my niche job board. You're also getting distribution as well. Let's see. Competitive advantage for a niche job board to attract employers. So the niche job boards, value proposition has always been that type of candidate, right? Whatever industry you serve. So if there was one geophysicist jobs, right? So that's his niche, that's his value proposition. He's got those types of people in his database. And so versus a national site where, Monster was always sending people out-of-state candidates and things like that. So if you're local, you're going to tout the local nature of your site as well, just local candidates. If you're niche, you're just targeting you're sending people in that profession to that employer. So those are the typical value propositions. On top of that, you can do things like, Google Jobs included. You can add other things in there, like we'll send you out to our Facebook social media channels for free, things like that. So that's kind of a couple things you can do there. How do we compete with job boards that claim huge traffic numbers, but data shows they have counted? Yeah, I mean, to me, it's all about what you deliver the client, right? So if you deliver enough applicants, and I think the right number of applicants that you want to shoot for per job is about 10, right? If you sent 10 applicants to that job on average, I think the employer will be fairly satisfied, even if they're not all qualified. But as long as there's a few in there they were able to look at, they were able to consider, bringing you for an interview, you've kind of done your job as a job board today, right? A lot of companies, I'm still big on, it's also up to the companies themselves to write the good job description to attract the job seeker, right? You're doing your job as a job board, attracting whatever niche you're in, but it still behooves companies to write the right job description, and a lot of them are still doing that wrong. And so, my goal as a job board owner is about 10 applies is what I shoot for, and I think you should take that under advisement as well. No Google Jobs Australia yet, so yeah. So there's rumblings it's coming out to the rest of the world. I saw a story the other day where it came out to Latin America. I have no idea if that's true yet. I've heard it's coming to Europe next as well. So it's probably coming. But yeah, I mean, for Australia, I think you'd have to run more on SEO and things like that. And buying traffic, obviously, is another piece of that. But using social media to get traffic so social media is really where the free piece comes in for you. Krishna. It's that SEO and buying is going to be your kind of three main ways to get traffic. All right, here, let me take a second. My niche bar will have educational function, videos, webinars. I also have courses. Courses are a great, actually, way to make money for job boards. Teachable.com is a great tool to do that. It's a cloud-based platform. You pay like, I don't know, $50 a month, something like that, and you can create your own courses on there. So if you have a niche that you're in, or if you just want to talk, do a course on resume writing, whatever it is, you can sell that course to your job seekers. I was going to do it last year. Just got sidetracked. But a course is definitely, I think, is a good moneymaker for job boards today. So consider adding that to your mix. And you can actually, with Teachable, you can do a subdomain. So course.yourjobboard.com and funnel people off to that and charge them, 20, 30, $50 for a course, things like that. So that's good. It won't harm your recruitment brand. So I don't think so. Have you heard of anyone getting Google Jobs Discovery Beta? Yeah, there's a couple of the big guys are like Career Builder, I think, is on there. James. And it's something if you want to invest the time and effort in, I think it's a good thing. I don't think it automatically gets you into Google Jobs. I've heard that the companies who are using it are not even in Google Jobs yet, which is weird. So there's some disconnect there between the Google Cloud discovery and the actual jobs products, from what I hear. How do we reach out to job board owners to offer create customized site for them? Instead of direct to job boards, individuals can market directly to the job board owner. So creating career sites for employers, is that what I'm not sure if that's what you're asking, John, but that's a good idea as well. Offer to do it. You can do it on Squarespace or WordPress. You can do it for them and charge them for your time. Is there a directory of job boards or individuals who can market directly to the job board owners? So I have a directory of job boards. It's on jobfairing.com, and it's also in my ebook list as well. It's a huge PDF file of 1,000 job boards. If you want to buy that, it's like $20, I think. Let me just share my screen for a second here. So over on gumroad.com/jobboard secrets, there is a job board software vendor guide, and that has a list of 1,000 job boards according to niche and locality as well. I just updated it recently, so it's fairly updated. Sites are closing down all the time, so it's tough to keep up with some of the links in there. But for the most part, I'd say about 90% of the links are still good, and you could use that as well if you want to pick that up. And I have an email list as well, so if you are looking for that, you can contact me later. Legalities of using jobs to advertise my own job board without permission. Okay, so I get that question a lot. For the most part, Rex, employers are not going to care as long as you're redirecting them back to the employer's website, which is key. Sending the traffic, they shouldn't care. You may want to stray away from like the big national companies. I've heard some of them complaining to some job boards that, hey, you stole our jobs, whatever. But as long as you're just redirecting the traffic back to them to apply, you should be fine. Most will not care. In fact, they'll actually like the free traffic. So I've never heard of anybody getting sued because they took jobs like that. So in my experience, I wouldn't worry about it. Do I think Google will start selling job ads directly to employers? Maybe. If they were smart, they would build into, like a standalone job posting, service, I guess, if you will, that will let them easily target, feature that job on Google Jobs as well as target, like Google AdWords does. They would have to create a much simpler version of Google AdWords for the recruiter in that instance, because Google AdWords is much too complicated for the typical recruiter. So I don't see them doing that anytime soon. It's not typically how they approach the market like this. And I think it's, even if they do, it's probably a few years away. So not something I worry about in the immediate future. Dave, how many candidate profiles, Corey asks, should you have before charging access? A lot. Um, I mean, I'd say at least 1,000 or more, at the very least. I guess it depends on the niche you're in. If they're very targeted and it's kind of a small niche, 1,000 would be good. Um, maybe 5 or 10,000 beyond that. I guess maybe 5,000 if you have a fairly big site. 5,000 would be chargeable for. There's not a lot of money in resumes these days. Um, Indeed was charging $1 a resume before they just changed their pricing. But there's not a lot of money on resumes overall. I never made much money on them when I ran all county jobs. So, um, any value in joining the job association? It depends on if you go to the conferences. So if you go to the conferences, you get money off of those, so it's worth it. You also get some free PR, so you get a few backlinks for free. So I belonged in the past. I'm going to TA Tech in Europe in Dublin next month, and I got a free ticket because I'm promoting it for them. But I typically only go to one of those a year, probably, and I like them because it's just I see my friends and get to catch up with guys and stuff. So for me, I go to the conferences for networking and things like that. I don't speak too much, and uh, you know, I get my value in terms of the relationships there. So if you're a newbie, if you've never been before, I think they're great to go to. So I think paying the fee is first year is a good idea. After that, you can just pay the full price if you want to go to the conferences. Krishna, if I want to offer online IT courses for job seekers, where can I get the courses from? You might be able to become an affiliate of some of the online courses out there. Was it Coursera is one. Lynda.com. Check and see if they have like affiliate programs that we can earn some money from them. And there's probably a few other course platforms out there. Some of the names escape me right now, but those are two I know of. Your opinion on multiple niche boards that are loosely related versus one board, multiple disciplines. Okay. Yeah, good question, James. I had a client who was in the fitness industry and he had a bunch of he had a site for swimming and I think gym jobs. My dog just came in. Um, and if you can put them all on, the same platform, as long as they're somewhat separate, link to them all, create a network. I think having multiple sites overall is more valuable if you ever want to sell them in the future. Number one, if you can, automate most of them in terms of, getting them on Google Jobs, pushing out your content to social media automatically, that'll free up your time to, so you don't have to work on them a lot. You can use them to collect emails and build up your database that way and things like that. So I'm a general fan of that strategy. As long as the disciplines or niches are fairly separated. If they're too similar to each other, no, don't do it. But as long as they're an actual niche that are in the same kind of higher level category, that's fine. And you may just want to kind of automate them. What I mean by automating is taking your whatever blog content or job content you have and pushing that out to social media automatically. So creating a Facebook page, a LinkedIn company page, and a Twitter account for each of those sites, pushing out the content, backfilling them, and just kind of letting them out there. Right, they'll grow. The SEO will grow over time, and after a year or two, you'll have a little bit of a domain authority with that site. You'll have some emails there. You may get a few sales. So as long as you can afford it, put them out there. It's a good strategy. What is Google? Let's see here. What does it take to modify job board software for our job boards to serve professional associations to compete with yourmembership.com and similar types? Not much. I mean, if you look at your membership and those guys, Boxwood, It's just the job board software. So they just happen to kind of target those niches out there. And as far as I know, it's not. It's all the job board software is pretty much the same. So, you could take a WordPress. Um, you could take a WordPress. What do you call it? Job theme, and you could buy it and just use that and target them if you wanted to. I mean, um, because you can own that code and put them on your own servers and stuff. So there's not much difference there really with your memberships of the world and a smart job board, for example. What is Google's reason for Google Jobs monetization plan? So to me, I think it's more about keeping the user on Google. Number one, right? It's that experience. So when you search for jobs on Google now, you get the Google Jobs snippet, and you stay on Google longer. So they're keeping you on the site longer. That's the number one reason they exist, basically, because they sell ads. So they need to be able to serve ads, and the more people they have on the site itself, the more ads they can serve. So it's the number one reason they did it. They dip into niches like this over time. They did it for like flight search. They did it Google Shopping. So they slowly venture out into industries like ours now, um, and get into there. So overall, I think it's been a positive thing for job boards because now we have another free source of traffic, which we didn't have before. They've kind of replaced the Indeed now. So far it's been a good thing. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, there's lots of you can Google the job board themes out there for WordPress. They're all basically the same. The thing I hate about WordPress, guys, is that you have to basically maintain the software and keep it updated, right? You got to update all the plugins all the time. Stuff breaks all the time when you're doing that, and to me, it just becomes a hassle. So, I mean, there's some good job board themes out there. It's pretty easy to Google. But the main hassle with that is just kind of the maintenance of it all, which I don't like. I'd rather spend time doing marketing and sales and concentrating on getting traffic over. So, which is why I like the off-the-shelf stuff so much. I mean, they're all basically very similar. Um, just check the ratings on them. You can see them on the WordPress theme sites in terms of the ratings, things like that, and try before you buy. Play around with the previews. If you're not comfortable with diddling in the back end of WordPress, there, I wouldn't recommend doing it. But if you are technical, you can certainly use WordPress as your site, and you can customize it to your heart's content if you know PHP. So, all right, selling, buying, job board valuations, typical. Okay, let's talk about buying and selling job boards because I've done a lot of that over the years. So I sold my job boards back in 2012 for about 3 times revenue. Now I had a 6-figure company, 6-figure business, and it was 6 years ago. And one of my clients ended up buying it. I'd been shopping around the other job boards before he bought it, and I was only getting maybe a 2x kind of an offer. So it depends on who you sell to, number one. If they're outside the industry, you're more likely to get a higher price. But if you have a small job board, let's say you're making, a few grand a month or, 50 grand a year, you're probably only going to get 1, maybe 2 times revenue. It really depends on how well your site's doing at the time of sale. If the traffic is going down, if the sales have been going down for the past couple of years, you're going to get 1 year of revenue, basically. That's all it's worth to a potential buyer. There's a lot of uncertainty now in the market now with job boards, right? There's a lot more competition. It's harder to get traffic the first year if you're just starting out with a new one, just starting from scratch. So the value of a established job board is all that SEO traffic they have, all the backlinks they have, that domain authority, and stuff. So 1 to 2 times revenue for the smaller sites out there is what you're looking at. So if you have a job board today that's been doing, let's say, 25K a year, that's probably what you're going to get as an offer. And again, it depends on also how profitable that job board is as well. Right? If your profit margin is only 20% and you're making 25K a year, that means you're making about what 6-7K in profit or whatever. It's you may be lucky to get 2 years of that maybe. So it's a little bit tougher. If you sell your site on sites like Flippa, that's where the bottom feeders lie. So you're gonna get lowball offers all day long. I did sell Career Cloud in there for about 30K. That was a site that I had about 30,000 monthly visitors, and that's kind of why the guy bought it. He bought it for that SEO. I didn't have a lot of revenue. I had maybe 10 grand in revenue for the year. And he just basically took the job board off of there and he's using the site itself for just a blog. So I got 30K for that. And I also had the podcast with it, which was a pretty big podcast at the time. But I got 30K for a site that had 30,000 monthly visitors. So you can also sell the traffic as well, right? So think about if you don't have a lot of sales, using the traffic to kind of pitch potential buyers out there. All right, how much does JobGate charge for buying traffic? So as little as $50 a month. That's their minimum required buy. I use JobGate today. I'm a partner of theirs. In fact, I'm pulling in listings for my remote job board, and I'm getting paid for those. So I'm getting about 10 cents a click, which is nice. Thus far this month, jobs with remotes, again, with only a few thousand visitors, it's made about $25 in revenue from them. So there's no pricing. There's no pricing on there. So it's about $50 is their minimum buy when you actually get set up with them, and there is a fee of $350 to actually get set up to get your feed index with them. So there was an initial charge to get set up on JobGate, but after that, it's as low as $50 a month. You set a budget, set a CPC, and you have to pay them, and then the campaign goes live. It's kind of like an AdWords almost. So it's the cheapest way to get some distribution out there for your jobs right now. Definitely. We struggle with getting enough resumes for our clients and suggestions, paid or unpaid. Yeah, Letitia, I mean, try and do some paid, obviously. You can, like with JobGate, you can actually buy applications, right? So you can buy clicks or you can buy applications. Now you'll pay more for the applications, somewhere between probably $4 and $10 per application, right? You can go that route. Again, for every click you generate, the apply rate's about 7%. So you're gonna have to buy, if you buy 100 clicks for a job, that's gonna cost you, let's say, a quarter a click. That's, $40. And you might get 6 or 7 resumes out of that. So as a general rule, right? So that kind of gives you a sense of how many clicks you have to generate enough applies. So one hack about getting applies would be to use Facebook groups, right? So if you search on Facebook groups today, if you search for like Chicago job, right, you'll find a number of local groups you can join, and you can post your jobs in there and get traffic back to that job. It's something you have to do manually. You can't automate it. But if you do that on a regular basis, you can drive applies to your job listings. It works well for entry level to blue collar stuff. Don't expect to get like nurse applications out of it, but if you join enough groups, and I belong to probably over 200 local job search groups on Facebook that I can use to post my jobs in and get traffic back, and that's all free traffic. Right, a few years ago, I posted a job for a General Motors plant in Detroit on a Detroit job search group, and it went viral. People were tagging their friends, and I got like 10,000 visitors in one day to that listing. It was crazy. Um, that doesn't happen very often, but what happens on Facebook is people tag their friends, they start sharing it again, and once they start doing that, it gets higher in the algorithm there, and it just kind of takes off a bit. So if you do consistently, um, Facebook groups are a good source of traffic. It just takes time and effort overall. So do employers or recruiters post jobs using software that posts the job to multiple check selected job boards? Yeah, so there's stuff like out there like Broadbean and I think Smashfly, if eQuest, yeah, if you get integrated with them, you can kind of get on their radar. Now they typically will charge a fee for that, I believe, and they typically want you to let them know what client of theirs. So if they have a client on eQuest and that client requests they add your job board, that's where I've seen get inquiries about this. I had some in the past, and if you can get on there, pay for it and do it because I think it's worth it. Because then other clients might see you on their listings. The other there are some marketplaces now. This reminds me that you can get onto. So Smart Recruiters has a marketplace, and Workable, which are both ATSs, have marketplaces. And I know Workable has a free job board marketplace. So you give them your feed, they'll get you integrated, and they may index you for their clients as long as you send them free traffic. Now, I'm not sure if they'll do that for niche job boards. I helped a national board get exposure there. I do know that Smart Job Boards has a marketplace in there of niche job boards. And if you basically open up your API to them, their clients can buy a posting on the Smart Recruiters marketplace, and it'll send it over to you. And then you basically give Smart Recruiters a discount for that job. So let's say it's 20%. They keep that, and you get the rest, right? So they make money. Smart Recruiters makes money, and you make money on a discounted rate. So if you open up your API to them, you can get on the Smart Recruiters marketplace as long as you have a site that's established and offer some value for their clients. So you can go to the Smart Recruiters partner page. You can investigate there to learn more. All right, Kelly, how difficult is it to change job board software platforms? All right, great question. Okay, so changing platforms can be a big issue for some companies. I was helping Top School Jobs, which is owned by Education Week last year. They were on this really old software, and I helped them go. They switched over to Magix. It's a pretty big project. If it's a big job board, it's a pain in the ass. You lose traffic. You lose in the Top School Jobs case, they lost their Indeed traffic. Indeed was going to shut them off anyway, but I've seen a number of job boards where they changed job board softwares, and they either forgot to tell Indeed or Indeed just said no thanks anymore. So that was a big issue for some. But the main thing is the SEO traffic, right? So something like Smart Job Board, what I would do there is, and your site is Fort Bend Jobs, right? So with Smart Job Board, what you could do is you could switch over to that. You can import your jobs, import your seekers. There's a couple issues, right? So all the passwords you're gonna have to reissue to the candidates and the employers, which means you have to basically go back to the website, do a forgot password and get the new one, or you have to email them with all the instructions on doing that, right? That's kind of it's going to take you a couple emails to do that. It's going to take time. It's a little bit of a pain for them to go and learn the new password system and things like that. That's one thing. Second is your SEO traffic. So you're going to have to basically set up the new site with your old content, right? So if you have a lot of old content on there that is getting SEO traffic, let's say you have a blog and those articles are getting indexed by Google and they're sending you traffic. If you switch to new software, you're losing that traffic if you don't reproduce the URLs. So with Smart Job Board, you can actually create content in there and specify the exact same URL of your old content, so that when you go live, Google will just see the new platform already with the exact same URL. You have to basically cut and paste all your old copy over to it. It takes time. It's a pain, but you can actually make it work with that with a platform like that. Something like WebScribble, which is much more expensive, will actually do SEO redirects for you. They also have the ability to set up custom URLs for any particular content or directory structures you may have. But changing platforms means ensuring that you tell Google where the new content is. And typically that means recreating the URLs of your top content overall, right? So if you have a lot of high performing content that gets traffic, you're going to want to recreate that same URL structure on the new platform overall. So with a small job board like yours, just look at I would go find your top, say, 50 pages of content, and I would just replicate those on the new platform, copy all the content over, and then just go live. And then go take your sitemap XML file and go back to Google Search Console, have them re-index it, and you should get most of your traffic back, if not all of it, overall. So let's see here. How secure are my user profiles if a job board software? It's pretty secure. No, I've never heard any security breaches on them. Who's responsible? That's a good question. I mean, you have a terms of service on there that you have access to change. So they give you kind of a default one. I've never ever had an issue with these things before, so I don't have a good answer for you there, Krishna. But go look at the terms of service. You can craft it to make it your own. You can just say, hey, look, we're not responsible, and leave it at that. Maybe if you're not comfortable with owning that data. And I'm not sure what the terms of service of the platforms say as well. So read those, and probably a better question for them if you want to shoot them an email to ask them. All right, which backfill companies? That was it's 107. Okay. Which backfill companies provide greatest revenue share? Indeed, ZipRecruiter. Indeed is not. Don't even use them anymore. Between ZipRecruiter, Jobs and Careers, and JobGate, you're looking at 6 to 10 cents on average. So ZipRecruiter, I mean, they're one of my sponsors. It's tried and true traffic. They have a lot of inventory. Can't go wrong with them. You may be able to squeeze a few more cents out of like JobGate if you want to go that route and stuff. But I've heard Appcast, which is Appcast sold traffic to a client of mine last year for $0.25 a click. They only have a couple 100,000 jobs, but if you contact them, you may be able to get a feed out of them if you want to backfill. So appcast.io. Time to devote to a job board per week. Depends on if you're doing it full time or not. So if you're doing it part time, Dimitri, I'd say at least 2 hours a day. All right. You're welcome, Kelly. What does a service like employers direct do? You mean direct employers, Don? Direct employers, yeah. They operate those .jobs domain names, so that's where all their clients' jobs live. And it's an association for direct employers. They have a conference every year. Beyond that, I don't know much about them. They own all those. Well, I don't know if they own them all, but they have a .job for everything. So if you're like New York .jobs or Sales .jobs, those are all direct employers jobs. All those sites have feeds, by the way. You can grab the feed. as well if you want kind of free jobs. But they're not going to pay you for anything and such. So how to write a good about us page from beginner in this domain. So Christian, just so I mean about us, just write about why you're starting the website. Maybe throw your picture up there. I believe in personalizing websites, so if you are the owner, show yourself. Um, tell people why you're starting this business or why you're passionate about it, things like that. Go to some other job boards, look at what they do. You can get some ideas off of that. For some examples. Value using multiple job boards, using a single database. What do you mean by that, Rex? Can you clarify? Looks like we got some questions here too in the box. I didn't answer yet. Okay, Kelly, we did that one. Tech jobs, a good niche to start. So there's about 40, there's at least 40 tech jobs in the U.S. over here, Krishna. If you're doing for another country, though, it might be a better opportunity. I'm not sure what's available in Australia. I think it's where you are. But it depends on, I guess, what country you're in overall. So if there's not a lot of competition, it may be a good niche. It just depends on what exists already out there. Plus, you've got stuff like Angel List, which is global. And so it may be, but it really depends on what area of the world you're in, I think. Talked about WordPress already. Okay. Let's see here. I'm hearing that no good way to exist other than Pixel ATS to prove that the employers, the applicant found on the job. Processes for my software. So Dave, one thing you can do also is when you're linking over to the ATS as a redirect, you can put a UTM code in there. Source equals your job board name. That way, if they have like Google Analytics installed on their ATS, they can also then they can look for your job board name in the analytics there. I'm not a perfect solution, but it would be helpful if they actually look at their analytics, which is debatable. Let's see here. Don't employers balk at having to log into their account to pick up? Yeah, they do. I mean, that's why they like the redirect. But they're also trading up the fact that they're losing, the conversion rate lowers when you do that. So if I'm an employer and I'm using job boards, I would tell my recruiters they, use the job board version instead because you're more likely to get a better conversion rate there. But it depends on that, depends on what the resources they have. A lot of HR departments are stretched thin. They have very little time to review stuff. So it's becoming an issue where they just want to funnel everything to the ATS, and there's not much we can do about it. So single database for resumes. Oh, I see what you mean. I don't know if as long as you can segment that database per the different niches you have, I guess it's okay. If technically speaking they're all using the same database, it's fine as long as they you parse out where they what niches they're in, I guess. Don't they want to come through their proprietary? Yeah, they do overall, which is because of the time savings and for various legal reasons as well. They want them all in that one place, so they have access to that in one place. So, does JobGate work with your membership? I don't know. I know they're integrated with Smart Job Board. If you pay the advanced version of Smart Job Board, they are integrated with them. So I've never actually used that on Smart Job Board, so I'm not sure how. Otherwise, you just give them a feed of your jobs, and they set you up, and you log into the JobGate dashboard and manage your campaigns and stuff from there. Planning is to get job employers push out for free 1 to 2 months, your thoughts. Yeah, free is good. You may find that you're going to get some spam, so you got to watch out for that. So you may want to have to approve listings before they go live. 1 to 2 months may not be enough. I would say go for 6. Build up a database of employers that you can then go back and market to later when you have more traffic, right? If it's, I think a longer free period there would be better if you're just starting out. All right, guys. Well, it's 1:15. My dog is waiting to go for a walk. Any last minute questions here? I don't know on the thing here. Let's see. Tech board, still in development. Need your word on the logo. Let me take a quick look at that site. Yeah, it looks nice. Looks like it's on Smart Job Board. It looks pretty good, Krishna. I like it. Is there a good alternative to ZipRecruiter to market jobs? Yeah, you can pick JobGate. I think JobGate, I know works with like Monster, Jobs to Careers as well. So you can get, so if you use JobGate, I know you'll be on Monster and Jobs to Careers as part of their network. They don't tell you exactly what sites they're on, but I'm pretty sure they have those two on board. Other alternatives, juju.com. Let's see here. I'll just write a few in the search box. Just heard about upward.net. They buy traffic. Those are a couple. Top USA jobs. Appcast also buys traffic, I believe. Yeah, it looks expensive. They have I think they're charging more for job boards to get indexed right now, stuff like that. And I sent a client to them recently, and they told them they don't do CPC anymore. So I'm not sure how they're working with job boards today. It's a little more of a mystery. But a JobGate is a job. All JobGate does, guys, is they work with job boards. That's it. So they're very focused on just job boards. So Matt Simpson is their rep in the U.S. So if you do contact them, tell them I sent you. I do get a little referral fee out of them. So, but they've been good to work with. A little slow because they're based over in UK. So it takes, it could take a week to get your site indexed on there, but eventually it'll get to you, and the support will get back to you after 24 hours or so because they're based in the UK. But overall, they've been pretty good to work with. All right, guys. I think this is all going to be available as a replay afterwards. You're welcome, Myra. And I'll let you know when the replay is available. And I might do more of these in the future. Maybe like, I don't know, once a quarter, maybe. So it was fun for me. Anybody want to come on video before I leave? Say, see you in person. Yeah, I gotta try this anyway. I'm doing one next week for employers. So I'm still learning this system actually. So light on screen. Okay, John, here you come. Krishna, let's get you on board. Oops, click the wrong one. Thanks, Lauren. All right, guys, have a good one. Thanks a lot and appreciate it. And talk to you soon. There's John. Is that you, John? How's it going? Can you hear me?
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hi, this is Krishna.
Hey, Krishna.
Yeah, good. Thanks for the.
How's it going?
Good. How are you? Sorry, can't hear you.
Sorry, are you in Australia?
In Australia, yeah. Yeah, so thanks for
Nice.
the information. It was great to chat with you and all the fellow job board owners. They had some good questions too. So I got a good info on how to start because I'm just a beginner at the moment and yeah, trying to develop the IT tech job board in Australia. So yeah, because there are not many niche IT niche job boards in Australia, as far as I know. There are only few big job boards, but they are general job boards, not IT specific. So I want to target IT.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you might be able to get some traction that way.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a good niche then.
Good,
Yep.
good. I'll definitely book an online 1 hour session when my website is ready, so you can review it and feedback. How am I going?
Cool. Looks like you're using Smart Job Board, right?
Yeah, it's my job.
Good. Yep.
No worries.
And just make sure you. Yep. Cool, man. Well, good luck, and
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care. All right, I'm out of here, guys.